The Iranian Football Federation has vowed to, quote, deal with beach football players who protested this week during an international tournament shortly after scoring the winning goal at the Emirates Intercontinental Beach Soccer Club in Dubai. Player Saeed Piramoon mimicked cutting his hair. There you see it in that video. It was a move that signaled support to protesters in Iran who are calling for greater freedoms for women. And just before the match started, the team did not sing the national anthem. Meantime, a UK-based news channel is accusing Iran of plotting to kill two of its journalists who have extensively covered the protest. Let's bring in CNN's Jamali Karadsheh joining us live now from Istanbul. So just walk us through what the potential consequences may be for these soccer players who appeared to support the protesters back home in Iran.
Well, we don't know, Zain. I mean, everyone is waiting to see what they'll be dealt with actually means, what the regime is going to do, how they're going to be punished. All we know is there's a lot of concern for their safety right now after the team arrived in Tehran on Monday. Journalists were waiting for them outside the airport, but they were not allowed to speak with them. So we'll have to wait and see how this develops in the coming hours and days. But, Zain, this is, as you know very well, this is not the first time that we're seeing this happening. Over the past few weeks, you've had several incidents with athletes, Iranians, competing outside the country, showing their support and their solidarity with the protesters. And I suspect this is kind of embarrassing for the regime that has really been trying to push this narrative that this is some sort of a foreign conspiracy, these protests that we have been seeing in the country.
Also, let's talk about this apparent plot to assassinate or kill two UK-based Iranian journalists. What more do we know on that front?
Well, Zain, very disturbing developments. Over the past 24 hours, we've had two organizations that have been covering the protests over the past nearly couple of months now, very extensively, really, reporting that their staff members are facing very serious threats from the Revolutionary Guard Corps and from the Iranian regime. As you mentioned, Iran International, this is a 24-hour news channel based in London, and they say that two of their British Iranian journalists have been notified by the Metropolitan Police of threats, they say, that represent a credible, significant, and imminent danger to their lives and the lives of their families. Now, Iran International has said that they have been warned over the past few weeks. There have been warnings issued by the IRGC for the channel's coverage. We also know that the regime has been singling out and accusing Iran International of trying to push forward foreign agendas, accusing them of really representing the Saudi agenda, saying that they're funded by Saudi. We know there have been reports in the past that the network is Saudi funded, something that Iran International has denied. And at the same time, Zain, we're hearing from Hengao Network for Human Rights, Organization for Human Rights, who I know you've interviewed their staff members in the past. They have been doing really important and critical work over the past few weeks, reporting on the protest and documenting the crackdown, especially in the Kurdish region of Iran. They say that two of their staff members who are based in northern Iraq, in the Kurdish region there, have been facing increasing and serious risks, threats by the IRGC, and they're calling on Iraq's Kurdistan regional government to protect these employees. Zain, this is nothing new. We have in the past had these reports of threats and plots by the Iranian regime targeting journalists, dissidents, and activists outside the country. But of course, this is coming at a time where they're trying to crush dissent in the country, where they're trying to silence journalists, with dozens who have been arrested since the protests began. And now it seems that the regime is trying to intimidate and threaten journalists and activists far beyond its borders. We have to mention that the regime hasn't commented yet on these reports.